Hit by the European financial crisis, Denmark saw its economy shrink in the third quarter, raising prospects the country will soon slump into recession. To boost growth, the country has decided to expand its export ties with more emerging markets. In an exclusive interview with CNC, Denmark's Minister for Trade and Investment explains how the country will open up for business.
Pia Olsen Dyhr, Danish Minister for Trade and Investment, says Denmark will expand economic ties with emerging markets as trade with developed economies stagnates. According to data from Denmark's Foreign Ministry, some 70% of Danish exports currently go to near markets in Europe, while 7% go to the US, the next biggest export destination outside the EU. In comparison, exports to the BRIC countries of Brazil, Russia, India and China contribute only 5% of Denmark's overall total. But as demand in the EU and the US declines as a result of low economic growth and the debt crisis, emerging markets look increasingly attractive. The minister says spurring exports to BRICS countries and greater openness to foreign investors can help Denmark's economy regain growth momentum.
There's three areas which my ministry is going to work with. It's going to be increasing investments in Denmark, hopefully also from Chinese companies. We'll be focusing on increasing exports out of the country. More than half of our GNP comes from exporting goods and services. And the third is international trade. And that is both with the European Union but also in general of the WTO. That is the three focus areas for my ministry. For myself, I find the mission for my ministry is much more than that. It's actually showing the rest of the world that Denmark is open for business.
According to the minister, Denmark has a lot to offer based on experience and skills. But she stresses that Denmark would not pick and choose green technologies to promote in a specific emerging economy. That would depend on the target of the country's needs.
I'm not going to prioritize special industries. I'm going to be focused on areas, or you could say sectors, because I think it's important that a small economy as the Danish one, we cannot prioritize everything. And we have to be focused in our work with what are we going to put on the international trading agenda. We know that we are very good in green technology, both on the energy side, but also when you talk about water solutions, clean water solutions, wastewater management. We have skills from Denmark because of our own experience throughout the 70s with problems of pollution and the problem with the oil crisis in the 70s, where you could see very clearly that we couldn't continue being that dependent on oil. And we went into the renewables instead. Having this history makes us world-leading in technologies in these fields, and we are going to be focusing on what we are good at, but also what we can deliver global solutions which are needed.
Denmark's government has decided to publish a BRIC strategy next February. Dyhr says new legislation will make it easier for foreign labor to come to Denmark and work.
I think looking at all the legislation which makes it difficult for investors to come to Denmark. We are focused on that. In our government program, we are looking at visas because we know it's more difficult to get a visa to Denmark than our neighboring countries. That is going to change. We're working on it. Two, we're looking into work permits, because if Chinese investors come to Denmark and are going to settle down with, for example, huge investments, making concrete production a line in Denmark, of course they want Chinese to follow also. And why shouldn't we make it easier for them to, for example, have 3 or 4 Chinese at a factory in Denmark, where, for example, have the Danish employees for 1,000?
The new Danish openness will look for partnership opportunities across all sectors, rather than being limited to specific industries.
I hope we can go into some kind of partnership where Denmark has strongholds. That could be in the green sector, but it could also be in the health sector. We have much technology in the health and welfare system, which is we have a public system, but we also have private companies who are strong in these fields. And I see maybe in some areas where China is having more and more elders and less young people, there's going to be a change. And I think some of the technologies we know and have developed would be obvious to have some kind of interaction with Chinese investors.
The minister also supports the idea of a free trade zone for climate and energy products and solutions.
International Center for Trade and Sustainable Development, based in Geneva, has been working on this called Sustainable Energy Trade Agreement for some time, checking out is there a possibility of having a fully compatible with WTO rules, but a bilateral, or you would say more than two countries, but plurilateral agreement on this area, and I think it's needed. I think if we see the trade on climate technologies, it's more and more protected in some areas, and we need the solutions to come out and work. So the Danish government is supporting it, but we want to ensure that it's not meaning that it's going to undermine the WTO's rules system. We are huge favor of the WTO system, so it has to be compliant with that. And we will try to promote these agreements also during the Danish EU presidency. We're going to also do it bilaterally. That is also a part of the total discussion on global green growth, and we've been trying to take a lead on that.
Moreover, Dyhr says Danish green growth will be rejuvenated by smart growth, a proactive trade policy via the EU, focused on emerging economies.